Tisha, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jordan. It's great to be with you all today. It always is. And I am going to be sharing with you ways to capture student learning in Canva. And there really is infinite possibilities. So I always love to share ways that you can really empower students in this incredible platform. And I'm going to just start by sharing a little bit about myself. I am a Canva learning consultant. I've been a Canva learning consultant for about a year and a half now, and I've been in education over 25 years, most of those years as a career and technical education teacher. I taught culinary for a long time, interior design, and I still am in a district role as well as being a consultant. I am in the Medford School District in Southern Oregon, and so I support 20 schools in this role. And I also am a Canva for Education content creator, so I do create some templates for the Canva library. And back in 2018, I wrote a book called Make Learning Magical, and it's all about transforming your teaching and creating unforgettable experiences in the classroom, which is really very much in line with Canva and why I love getting to share the power of Canva in classroom learning. So we're going to jump into the agenda. And we're basically going to be breaking down today's session into 4 parts. What is Canva for Education? We're going to talk about the student learner journey in Canva. And then we're going to have some hands-on learning kind of throughout. And then I will close with Q&A. And so as Jordan said, if there are any questions that you have throughout this presentation, please drop it in the chat. I really want to make sure that when you leave the session today, you're excited and you are inspired to find new ways to empower your students using Canva for education. So, and if you are using Canva for education in your classroom with students, share that too. I am a firm believer in we are better together. So before I jump into sharing just a little overview of what Canva for Education is, could you in the chat just drop what level you feel you are between FIST to 5? So FIST would be, I've never been in Canva before, I really have no knowledge. 5 would be, I'm already using Canva in the classroom with students. So just go ahead and drop in the chat what you feel your level is. Just kind of helps me know maybe who has been in sessions before, who is using it. Okay, we have a 3. We've got some 3s. Great. That is fantastic. We've got a 4. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. It's good. You've got kind of a basic knowledge of Canva and how it works. And so I think you'll really be able to connect to some of the ideas shared here and be able to think about how you can connect this to your content, to whatever educational role you have. Thanks, everybody, for sharing. So we're going to just give a quick overview of what Canva for Education is for those of you who are fairly new to Canva. Canva for Education is a visual communications platform, and within Canva, there is a visual work suite, and it is made up of different doc types like presentations and documents and websites and infographics and videos. And so when we think about this in our classrooms, when we think about students demonstrating their learning, they have all of these different doc types that they can use to demonstrate their learning. And it really becomes this one-stop shop. And I just think of when I was a culinary teacher, I was using Canva, but it was before Canva for Education was born. And at that time, I was finding great ways to use it in my culinary arts classroom. And since then, oh my goodness, infinite possibilities have been added to the work suite that is just so exciting across all grade levels, across all content areas. And oftentimes I hear people ask, well, why is it free? How is this amazing platform free for education? And at Canva, we believe that education is a human right, and we want to empower the world to be able to design and create. And so Canva for Education also believes that the skills that students are learning in Canva transcend the K-12 landscape. So when students are using Canva in the classroom, they are learning how to communicate. They are learning how to be adaptable, how to be entrepreneurs, how to critically think, how to be creative, how to be lifelong learners. And Canva is becoming an industry standard. So big companies like Walt Disney and Amazon, they're using Canva. Small businesses use Canva. Nonprofit organizations use Canva. And the Canva for Education platform that students are using in the classroom, it looks exactly like the platform that businesses are using. And so they are going to be leaving our K-12 system with a set of skills that they're going to be able to carry on to their workplace, whatever that workplace might be. So we are going to start by doing a little bit of an icebreaker. And so I'm going to back out of my presentation and I'm going to go to this collaborative whiteboard. And I love collaborative whiteboards because it is this space where we are able to all come together and share ideas. And what's beautiful about this as well is that there are no borders on this whiteboard. Most design types are going to have some type of a page border, but this doesn't. And so we're able to move around this any way that we want. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be sharing this with you so you all can join in. And what you are going to do is you are going to share what smell, image, or sound triggers nostalgia for you. So you see here, there's a picture of breakfast. Maybe Saturday morning breakfast is a special time in your family. And that is something, maybe it reminds you of your childhood and you have good memories of going to your grandparents' house. That might be something that you want to place. Maybe it is maybe it's flowers or the beach. So it could be anything. So the way that you're going to do this, once I share the link with you, is you're going to go over to Elements. It's the second tab down. And you are going to type something in this search bar. So maybe the beach brings nostalgia to you. You might want to search for graphics of the beach or maybe a photo of the beach. And as soon as you click on whatever it is you want to bring in, it's going to drop it in this rectangle and you can reposition it anywhere that you want. So we are going to start with this. And then I'm going to set the timer here on the bottom for about a minute. And then once the minute is over, we're going to go to the next step of this collaborative activity. So up on the top right, you're going to see this share button. I'm going to click share, and I want to make sure that this is anyone with a link can access because you are out of my domain. And so I want to make sure that you're all able to get to this whiteboard. And then I'm going to make sure that this is on Can Edit so that you all can collaborate within this whiteboard as well. And you can bring up to 50 people within a whiteboard at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop that link in the chat. And then as you click on that link, you're going to see that you're popping in up here on the top. You're good to go. Okay, perfect. Oh, there we go. See, the first person dropped in. Fantastic. Now you're all splashing in. So you can see yourself splashing in up on top. And you're also going to see when you get onto this whiteboard, all of your names are going to be kind of moving around on the cursor. And I love that as an educator to be able to see who is where, and it even will give you different colors. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and delete my beach scene to give you more space. You're going to be going to this Elements tab and searching for something that brings you nostalgia, and then dropping that picture into the whiteboard somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 1 minute. And I'm just going to give you time to search. And if you have questions, let me know. You can let me know in the chat. Ooh, I'm loving it already. Lilacs. And I love that in whiteboards that we have this timer feature too, because it really allows us to stay on track when you're working with students and you want to give them an activity that you're able to see the time. I love it. Okay, I'm going to give just a few, we're going to add another minute just because I want to make sure you all have time to find something. Ooh, I'm loving the disco ball in the ocean. There has to be a story behind that. So the timer is on the bottom of the screen. So down here by the notes. And it's easy to add a minute if you want to, or restart it if you would like to. And a little trick too is if you expand a presentation that you're creating, if you expand one of your pages to whiteboard, which you can in any presentation, that timer will show up in your presentations too at the bottom. So kind of a fun little trick if you want to bring a timer into a presentation. All right. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I see vegetables and perfume and roses and lilac and a camper. Lots of great stuff, a car. So now what I would like you to do next is I'm going to have you go up to Elements again, and you're going to see, if you scroll down, these whiteboard graphics. I would like you to add a whiteboard graphic to one of the images that's not yours that you see. So maybe you're like, oh, roses. Yes, that brings back nostalgia for me too. You might want to add a +1. Maybe you're curious and you want to learn more information about something someone put on. Maybe you want to put a question mark. So again, I'm going to just give you 1 minute to add some type of a whiteboard graphic to your whiteboard. You could also, if you wanted to, go up and get a sticky note and add a sticky note. Maybe you want to write a little bit about something that you brought in and give a little bit more explanation. You can do that too. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was on the wrong screen and I didn't see where you found the whiteboard. I found graphics, but not whiteboard graphics.
So if you go to Elements, over to the left, it's the second icon down, and you just scroll from the top down, they should show up here, the whiteboard graphics. Do you see them?
Yeah, I got them. Thanks.
Perfect. You're welcome. Wonderful. Thank you so much for adding. And so when you think about, again, like thinking about doing this in your classroom, I love that Janice put KWL Chart. There are actually KWL charts in the Canva library that you could actually find one that fits what you want to do and bring it right into your whiteboard. And you can change the wording, you can change colors. That's a great way to be able to access a whiteboard and get your students collaborating in this kind of an environment. Lots and lots of possibilities, and I'll share more possibilities as we go through the presentation today. So thank you so much for joining into that. And now we are going to be moving on to talk about the student learner journey in Canva. And there's just so many ways that we are going to be able to, again, empower our students in Canva for education. And so we're going to start with talking about supporting executive functioning. So when we think about bringing Canva into the classroom and how it can support executive functioning, thinking about goal setting. Maybe you want to keep your students on track by having them set those goals. You're going to be able to find whiteboard templates or any template in the Canva library for them to keep those goals. And they could even create maybe digital notebooks where they are going to be able to keep track of those goals. When you go into the template library, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming because there's so many templates. And so at the bottom of each of these slides, you're going to see a little search bar word so that you can kind of capture those words, maybe write them down, whatever will be helpful for you. You're going to get this presentation as well. And you can use some of those search terms when you're going through the library and you're trying to find some templates for some of these things. Even thinking about student planners. I know that that was always something when I was teaching high school. Students really struggled sometimes planning and keeping themselves organized. They could actually create their own daily planners in Canva to help them not only stay organized, but to track their progress, really help increase that student responsibility, promote communication. And the thing that's fun about this is they can go in and they can pick their own colors and they can change their fonts and they can really personalize it. So it is a planner that works for them. I know for me, sometimes I have the hardest time finding a planner that fits my brain because I see things, I see my day a certain way, and I'm sure our students feel the same way. And so to have maybe a template to start with, but then they can change that planner so it really fits their needs and what they want to capture to really stay organized. Even thinking about a habit tracker to keep students on track. It's a great way to practice executive functioning skills and really support those students who maybe struggle in that area. And again, they're going to be able to change colors and fonts and add elements to really be able to capture their own personality and their own interests and kind of design flair. So you will be able to find, again, these templates in the Canva library too. If you search habit tracker in that library, you're going to find lots of different examples. Thinking about a vision board. This is a great thing to do, I think, at the beginning of a school year, maybe at the beginning of a new calendar year. Have your students really be able to put on some type of a vision board template, like what their aspirations are, what their goals are. Maybe you are teaching high school, or maybe students that are seniors and they're kind of be entering into their future. What could they, like what kinds of assignments could you create for them, or activities where they can really set goals and really be able to imagine aspirations that they have for their future. This is also a really great way to do like an about me. So if you wanted at the beginning of the year to have students share a little bit about the things that they love, be very much like this kind of a vision board activity. When you go into the library, not only vision board, but about me are both great search terms to really find some of these templates that would work for your students. And also, I also like to share, when you're getting students in Canva for the first time, it's good to start with a really low entry point, not a huge high cognitive load, but something just to get your students in a no stress zone, allow them to play, find the features, and experiment before you start adding on that higher cognitive load. So moving on from executive functioning to activating prior knowledge. And here we have the KWL chart, Janice, that you already mentioned. There are so many great examples of these KWL charts in Canva, and you're going to be able to go in and you can make your own, you can change colors, you can really create them in a way that really connects to the age that you teach and the grade level and content area that you teach. But this is a really great way for students to not only get engaged in the learning process, but to promote that retention and be able to help monitor that academic progress. And you could bring this into a whiteboard so that students can all add in a collaborative way, or you could share a template link as well and have students complete it in that way. If I know that you all use Canvas, and Canvas and Canva are friends. They do integrate really nicely. And so if you were to create that assignment in Canvas, you would be able to grab Canva from your top toolbar. It's where the plug is on your top, the top toolbar for like above where you would put your directions. You're going to be able to pull in a template, be able to assign that to students, and then it will go straight to your speed grader and into your grade book. And so it's a really nice workflow in Canva. So lots of possibilities on how a KWL chart would work in the classroom. Also thinking about brainstorming and having students really work together, maybe in groups, maybe as a whole class, to make connections, think critically about issues and potential solutions, maybe have a space where they can share ideas with each other. And again, you're going to find lots and lots of these brainstorm templates in Canva. And you can search Education Whiteboard. You can also search Brainstorm, and you're going to find lots of ideas that you're going to be able to iterate and make your own. And whiteboards are a great place for these brainstorming activities because it really lends themselves well to be able to add those sticky notes, be able to add those elements, maybe add those whiteboard graphics to a brainstorming session. Also thinking about mind maps and really allow students to be able to present their ideas in a visual way, to be able to evaluate your students' conceptual growth and understandings. And there are, again, lots of different types of templates that you can find. So I really appreciate that about Canva, because you don't have to start from a blank slate. You can, but you don't have to. You can find templates in the library that might be close to what you want, and then you can iterate them and make them your own. Something else to consider is that you are able to upload your own things into Canva. So let's say that you have a mind mapping activity already, and maybe it's sitting in your Google Drive, your OneDrive, maybe on your desktop, and you want to take that and you want to bring it into Canva and bring it into a whiteboard. You are going to be able to upload and do that and be able to, and not only that, but you're going to be able to change the font and the colors and add in new elements, take elements away. It is going to make those uploads completely editable, which is beautiful, because I know as a teacher of over 20 years, I wanted to simplify my workflow because I was already working so hard anyway. I wanted to be able to find easier ways to do things. Even thinking about visual analysis and really wanting your students to evoke emotion, you're going to be able to maybe bring in an image from the Canva library, but you also could bring in your own image, maybe something that is connected to the content that your students are learning about. And maybe you bring that photo onto a whiteboard and you ask your students, what does this image encourage us to think? Maybe you want to ask the question, what does this picture remind you of, or what do you know about this picture? I mean, so many different ways, depending on your content area, the grade level that you teach, that you could use photos to really engage your students in thinking and reflecting about the content that they are learning about. Voting board is a search term that you can search if you wanted your students to be able to kind of have a vote or be able to record their thoughts and ideas. You could use that board and maybe embed your own picture. Lots of different ways that you could do this kind of an activity in your classroom. So moving on, we learned about executive functioning and how to activate prior knowledge with our students. Now let's look at some ways that we can actually capture learning in Canva. Digital notebooks are a great way to capture learning. I was working in my own district in a 6th grade class, and this teacher was having their students write journals or do journal entries every day. And they were doing them in spiral notebooks. And she had crates of these spiral notebooks in her classroom. And she was telling me how labor intensive it was for her, that she'd haul these crates home, and it was just not a very streamlined workflow for her. And so I suggested maybe try Canva and maybe do your journal entries or have your students do their journal entries in that platform instead of doing it in an actual notebook. And so she tried it, and her students had so much fun because they were able to design their own digital notebook covers. They were able to personalize them. They're able to bring in elements to really be able to capture their feelings and their thoughts. And they just had fun journal writing this way. And so it may not work for you, but it's another way. And so thinking about that and the fact that maybe it can streamline some of your workflows and the things that you already do. So some filters I have on the bottom that you can look for if you're searching for those notebooks in Canva. A notebook, education, student, school, journal would also be another search term that you can look for that. And then thinking about flashcards. And you'll be amazed when you go into the Canva library, when you search the term flashcards, how many different types of flashcards are going to show up. You might even find flashcards that are perfect just the way they are. Or you might find flashcards that are similar to what you want, but maybe you need to iterate some things. Or maybe you just like the flashcard frames and you want to create everything from scratch. You want to create your own flashcards. I taught culinary and I gamified my classroom. And so I would hand out badges to students. And I created my badges in Canva. And because the frames were already there, I could just go in, I could pull elements in and add my text boxes, and then I would print those out and laminate them and give them out to my students. So really easy to create these in Canva, and you can make them really visually appealing and really engaging for students. And so think about ways that you could maybe create your own sets of flashcards for your classroom, whether it's vocabulary or creating that gamified learning in your classroom. There's so many options that you can explore. All right, and then moving on to graphic organizers. And graphic organizers are great for maybe comparing and contrasting. Maybe you want to bring in a Venn diagram and you want students to compare and contrast two different things. Maybe you want to use a graphic organizer because you want them to organize their writing, or maybe you want to find one that's kind of a problem versus solution. There's just infinite ways that you can bring in these graphic organizers into Canva. Great place to bring them would be a whiteboard so that you can bring students in and maybe collaborate as a whole class, or maybe collaborate in small groups. Maybe you want them to do this independently and you want to share a template link to a graphic organizer. Maybe you want to create that Canvas assignment and you want to attach a template link to a graphic organizer that you've already created for them to help them organize their thinking. And you give it to them as a Canva assignment. They're going to complete it, turn it back to you in Canvas, and then you're going to be able to see it and grade it in the speed grader, and it'll go right to the grade book. So again, thinking smarter, not harder, and really thinking about those workflows and how we can really create a workflow that's going to be more seamless for you, but for your students as well. All right, the 3-2-1 method. If you search Canva, you will find some 3-2-1 templates already. In this presentation, you'll also be able to access a template here by clicking on the bottom. And this is a great way for students to be able to synthesize their learning. And it can be done in an independent way where students are doing this on their own, or it can be done in a collaborative way and have your students work in groups or whole class. There's just really so many possibilities for something like this. And again, I love it because thinking about maybe what you already do, like at the beginning of a lesson or at the end of a lesson, ways that you could just take what you already do and bring it into a platform like Canva. And then thinking about students demonstrating their learning. And honestly, this is one of my favorite pieces, because when we can allow students to demonstrate their understanding in a way that really connects to them, in a way that they really, they have fun showcasing their learning, and it's maybe in some of their skill sets that they love, that learning is really going to come alive for students. And so when we can really provide that choice and agency, it is super powerful. And sometimes it's even taking something that wasn't meant to be used in this way and mixing it up. So you see these examples. It was shared by Nicholas Ferroni. I think this was found on Twitter. And this teacher took a typical resume template and turned it into an assignment where students were creating resumes for a fictional character. So here we have Scooby-Doo, Peppa the Pig. Maybe it is a character in a novel they're reading, or maybe it is somebody in history that you're studying. Maybe it's a famous artist. I mean, it could be so many different things, but what a fun way to make that learning come to life in a real way. And not only that, it's not only a fun way to be able to demonstrate their learning, but also now they're learning how to write a resume, right? So it's giving them that skill that's really going to prepare them for their future. Thinking about infographics at all ages, when students are learning content, how about having them demonstrate their learning of that content in an infographic? So maybe if you were wanting to create this assignment in Canvas, you found a template that would really fit the kind of learning that you're doing in your class, and students would take that infographic template and make it their own to be able to demonstrate what they know and what they've learned. Maybe if you've used Canva for a while, or maybe you're teaching upper grades, maybe you want them to choose their own infographic template and you don't want to select it for them. It's really going to vary depending on the age group that you have. It's going to really depend on how familiar and comfortable your students are in Canva, but really infinite possibilities. So like thinking about maybe they're learning about magnets, or maybe they're learning about the life cycle of a butterfly, or maybe they just did a science experiment and they want to be able to share what they learned and the data that they collected for that science experiment, and they want to create an infographic for that. Really so many possibilities across the board. And then even thinking about magazines and having students create their own magazines by bringing in images and videos. And they might even want to share this through like a view link. And they could actually go into the recorder in Canva. When you go into uploads within any design, you're going to be able to record yourself or do a screencast. So students may be able to visually communicate their understanding of their learning in a magazine form, but then maybe they also want to add some video links in that magazine to really make it come to life. Students it's just so fun for kids to be able to demonstrate their learning in that way. And here you see in this example from Emily Campbell that they're using Canva in science, and they are creating magazine covers for their planet research. And so think about that in whatever you teach, whether it's elementary, high school, in your content area. What are some ways that you could have your students demonstrate their learning in kind of a magazine format? And again, search magazine in the library in Canva, and you're going to find lots of templates that you can use to start from. Podcasting, I actually just saw an amazing example of this in my own district. And students were partnered up, and they created they were just using a presentation template, and they had just read these books, and they wanted to do a podcast to be able to share out kind of their book review. And they were darlings. Students went in and they created these presentations, and then they went into the recording feature in Canva. And so their, faces were on the screen, and they were going back and forth recording this podcast episode about what they thought the strengths of this book was, what the reviews that the number of stars they were going to give it, and why. And they had to write this all out before they actually started recording. And so they are really, so many content standards are being covered in some type of an assignment like this, because they're reading, right? The book that they're reading, they're writing out their script. They are having to communicate with each other and really able to communicate their understanding in a really, really powerful way. And you can even connect with other platforms like Soundtrap to really be able to, I love it when you can app smash different platforms together to create this really powerful experience for student learning. And then moving on to videos. So videos are a language our students speak in and they understand. So our students at really a lot of different age levels are on Insta-Reel, they're on TikTok, maybe they're on YouTube, they're watching videos. So they're consuming content in this way already outside of school, and they're also creating content out of school. So what if we had our students create explainer videos in Canva to express what they know and be able to demonstrate their learning? The video platform in Canva is really intuitive, and it allows for so much creativity. There is a new feature that they just added in the last month called it's animation. Create your own animation. You can go in and you can bring in a graphic. Let's say it's a bumblebee. And you can simply move that bumblebee across the screen in whatever way that you want, just with your mouse. And then that bee is going to be animated. And so when students play that video, it's going to look like the bee is buzzing along the screen. And it's simple, super simple for students to do that. I was working with kids in one of our schools a couple weeks ago, and they were put into groups of 3 and 4 to create this video together. They had just done research, and so now these groups of 3 and 4 were creating these videos, and they were having the best time with that animation to be able to really make those videos come to life. And so I think the videos are one of my favorite tools within Canva because our students have so much fun getting to create and to collaborate in that way. And Canva makes it easy. Also thinking about book trailers and maybe going beyond, what I knew when I was in school was the book report. How about if they created a book trailer and they were able to really engage in this fun way? They're able to synthesize and summarize what they've learned. They're going to be able to bring in those pictures, those objects, music, and really even turn their whole story into an audiobook, because again, you're going to be able to add in video if you want to. Maybe they can bring in a link or share a link to a website that maybe goes a little deeper into the book. There's just so many options. They could even bring in a QR code and maybe have the audience, whoever they're sharing with this, be able to scan that QR code and again, take the listeners, the audience into some type of an interactive tour. And really what's fun about this is the possibilities are endless. And what I found, and again, in my own district, we have Canva for Education. I've gone into 2 classes as young as kinder, and students can navigate this platform easily. I give very short tutorials on Canva, and I let them just explore all of the extra things, and it takes them no time to find out how to add in illustrations and how to animate things, because they are on devices outside of our schools and they are playing with platforms that have very similar icons and things. And so they learn it really, really quickly, I found. Even thinking about timelines. And so if you are maybe teaching history or a subject area where they need to keep a timeline, you can go into a whiteboard and create those timelines. You could even create timelines within another type of design as well. And it's really easy to embed things into those whiteboards as well. One of the features that I love about the whiteboards is you copy a link and you paste it into your whiteboard. It's not going to paste the link. It's actually going to embed whatever it is. And so you do not need an embed code. So maybe a student created a book trailer on their own, but you wanted to create a gallery in a Canva whiteboard for students to share those book trailers with each other. You could have them copy that view link of their book trailer, paste it into a whiteboard, and now everybody's going to be able to view that trailer. So now their learning goes beyond just you, the teacher, or their sharing goes beyond you, the teacher. It's going to their peers as well. And I find when students share beyond just you, the teacher, it ups the game and they spend a little bit more time and effort putting their learning together. And then thinking about portfolios in a number of different subject areas, you're going to be able to create a website portfolio to be able to capture your learning journey. And thinking about students maybe at the high school level that are preparing to go out into the world, and maybe you want them to have a collection of their work to be able to share with their future employers. Maybe they create those portfolios there. Maybe they have a portfolio that they create at the beginning of the school year and they are capturing all of their best learning in that portfolio to be able to save. Really easy to create a website in Canva and really easy to publish it as well. And there is a safety when you are creating websites in Canva on the student side. You have to approve it. The teacher has to approve it before that website would be able to be public. And so just to know that there are those safety measures in place to make sure that we are keeping our students safe. I love gamification. In my culinary class, I gamified all of my different levels of culinary. And I love finding ways to bring games into learning. And you will actually be able to find game presentations when you go in to the library and you type in game presentations. There's some this or that templates. There's lots of different ones that not only create the game, but it also gives you the directions so that you can see exactly how to play that game with your students, which is really fun. And I think it will take take your ideas to the next level, because I know that wasn't something that I even considered being in Canva, was a game presentation, but there's some really fun ideas there that you can use in your class. And then lastly, thinking about reflection and thinking about how students are going to be able to really thinking about social emotional learning and well-being, like how can we bring an activity in Canva into our classrooms for students to maybe reflect on what they're grateful for, or maybe you create this Kindness Matters a graphic template and put it into a whiteboard and have everybody use a sticky note from elements in the whiteboard to be able to express a time when someone was kind to them and how it made them feel. And so lots of different ways that we can kind of focus on well-being and social emotional learning in Canva. And again, search well-being in the Canva library and you're going to find lots of ideas and ways that you can bring that into your classroom. And thinking about just reflecting on the learning. I know sometimes in my classes that was a hard thing for me to be able to build in. And you will find templates for students to be able to reflect on their learning. Maybe you want to create a template link and students are keeping kind of a weekly journal or a weekly entry, some type of a reflection journey that they are keeping in some type of like a diary kind of scenario. Or maybe you want to bring a template like this into a whiteboard and have more of a collaborative reflection. Really lots and lots of options, but lots of templates as well that you're going to be able to search from. And even thinking about our just personal reflections, and this could be maybe totally private and where you want a place for students to be able to reflect on their own learning, maybe what their struggles were, what helped them that week, maybe ways that they want to improve. There's some great templates that you can find in the library as well. And we really have only come 1% with all of the ideas that Canva has to offer. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless as far as how you can have your students practice executive functioning and activate prior knowledge and capture learning and demonstrate learning and reflect on learning. Really, so many possibilities out there. And one of the things I always recommend is think about what you already do and think about what that would look like if you brought it into Canva. Maybe you've always assessed students a certain way in a certain unit. Maybe think about having them demonstrate their learning and assessing in Canva as to change things up. Or maybe you typically always do the same kind of an opener in your class, or maybe the same kind of a reflection or exit ticket in your class. Maybe think of ways that you could take that practice and bring it into a platform like Canva. And here is just a sampling of all of the different things that you can create in Canva and students can create in Canva. Even thinking as a classroom teacher about creating a seating chart, you're going to be able to make that in Canva. Maybe you want to create a newsletter that's going home to parents or families. You can create that in Canva. Maybe you want to have your students work on a project and have a platform for them to be able to do group work. You're going to be able to find that as well. There's just really so many possibilities that you can think about. So we are going to back out again, and we're going to go back to our collaborative whiteboard. It's the exact same link that you had before. So Jordan, if you want to share it, you're all probably already there. We are going to go to the second page of this presentation. And this particular whiteboard, I want you to share your takeaways. So maybe something, an idea that was shared today that you really love, that you want to try. Maybe something that you've learned that you hadn't explored before in Canva. Or maybe you are thinking, oh gosh, this is great, but I have some worries or I have some concerns and questions. Please go ahead and go to your elements on the left-hand side. Grab a sticky note by simply clicking on it, and your sticky note is going to get added to the board, and it's text ready. So you can type your answer right into the sticky note, and you're going to notice that your name is going to show up on the bottom. You also can hide your name. If you click on your sticky note and go to the three little dots, and click remove name. You can also do that if you want to stay anonymous. And I'm going to give everybody about 2 minutes to just share your thoughts, ideas. You can share more than one idea or takeaway to the board. It's up to you. A little trick, because whiteboards are infinite and there's no borders, sometimes you can get lost. And so if you click on the percentage sign on the bottom of your screen and click fit, your board will kind of fit right back into place again. So kind of a trick that I like to share with students as well, so that if they get lost, they know how to get back to the starting point again. Oops. So, and just so you know, the animate feature does not work in a whiteboard. It only works in other designs. And so if I was to have brought this bee into a normal like presentation or infographic or video, up on the top here, you would see the word animate, and that's where you're going to make that animation. So just for those, I saw the comment about animation. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. If you are still adding comments, please do. Don't stop. I'm just going to read a couple of them that I see. What I've loved, the many examples and templates I had no idea about. I love it. Tutorial on how to put together projects and collaborate with others. I'm going to be sharing with you some resources where you're going to see lots of tutorials. So if you want to take your learning further and find some resources to do that, I will share those with you. I love all the exciting ideas. I've learned whiteboard possibilities so much, including how to use sticky notes in the whiteboard. I love it. I've learned Canva can now do animation. Excited to try that. The video recording options exist. Yes, video recording within Canva is amazing. And when you go into uploads here on the left, record yourself is how you do that. And when you click on record yourself, you're going to see the option to either just record yourself or record your screen. And so you have both capabilities there. And that recording will plop onto whatever design you're recording in, but it will also get saved in your video library. So no matter what design you're in, you're going to be able to find that video there as well. I need many more hours to play with Canva. Yes, I honestly could play in Canva all day long. I sometimes do play in Canva all day long. There is so much to learn. Yes, there may be too much and it's overwhelming. So what I will tell you is that, first of all, just start playing and start clicking things. Canva automatically saves. So you never have to worry about deleting something forever. And just go in and start playing with the different elements. Go in and start clicking on all of these things. There is a draw tool. So if you're thinking about having students maybe annotate in the class, maybe having an activity for primary where they're circling different objects that start with the letter A, maybe you think about having them illustrate their own videos or their own presentations. I've had kids do that before, and they blow my mind with what they illustrate, and they can even animate those illustrations that they do. So there's lots of possibilities there, but just play. That is my best advice to you, and you're going to be amazed at how fast your students pick up Canva. I am telling you, I am in classrooms in my district from kinder through 12th grade. Students are up and running in no time. And so I found, in fact, I was in a class and a teacher thought I didn't give a long enough tutorial. and we let the kids loose. They did not need a longer tutorial. They were finding things on their own, and they were having the best time. And they were so excited when they found something that we didn't share with them, because that gave them this it empowered them, because they got to share something that they found that no one else showed them. And so I think that is also important to understand. I love it. The vision board options. Oh yeah, the vision board. Yes. I would like to learn more about how to do the many things I think I need to spend more time playing. I love it. Thank you all for adding your ideas to the whiteboard. One thing that's great to know too is that you can lock things in place. So let's say that I want to, before I have everybody share, I want to lock my template so that it can't be erased. I can grab my mouse and drag it over everything on this board. And now I am going to be able to lock it so that no one can move what I have there. And I can also unlock it again. And so just think about that too. If you're worried about doing something like this because you're afraid what you have created is going to go away, you do have those features to be able to do that. I also just want to share that the sharing options in Canva are amazing. Here's your template link. You can click view only link. If you want to share something collaboratively, you can share this copy link. So before I leave you all, I want to make sure that I leave you with some resources. I'm going to be sharing with Jordan a one-page website that's going to include this presentation, all of the resources. So you're going to have access to all of the things. But I want to make sure, and again, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. But I want to make sure that you know that there are these amazing teacher resources that include teacher tutorials, design playbooks, student resources, a student course that they can go through and learn Canva on their own. So many different resources that you can use to extend your learning. There are also resources for Canvas. So if you want to learn how to create that assignment in Canvas and be able to have students complete that assignment, you're going to be able to access those tutorial videos here so that you can be watching them while you get those assignments set up. Also know that there is a great community on social media. If you search Canva EDU, Canva Love, or Canva Tips on Twitter, you're going to be able to find lots of people in the community that are sharing out amazing ideas all of the time. And there also is a great Facebook community as well. So if you go to Facebook, and there's going to be a direct link right here, you're going to be able to connect to over 55,000 educators that are always sharing out ideas and supporting each other in their learning journey. And we always love to hear feedback. So if you want to click on this link, I'll leave that link in the webpage that I share with you as well. Your thoughts and your feedback, it will give you a certificate. So when you submit that form, a certificate will be generated to be able to document that you attended this session. And so that is all I have for you all today. I am really excited to see what you create, what you do to empower students to create and to collaborate in Canva. It's always a complete joy to be with you all. So thank you so much for having me.